Greetings, warlords. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the Saga miniature skirmish game universe by Studio Tomahawk. I am Rodge, and I'm joined on this monthly episode, once again, by our good friend Monty. How are you, buddy?
Rodge, I'm awesome. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing good. We got a game in recently, so that's kind of perked up my Saga spirits.
Yep.
Looking forward to 2021. The news. We don't want to get into that, but it looks good for a while, and it doesn't look so good, and then it looks good. But this episode, we are going to talk about the usual stuff, and then we're going to get into a little something I cooked up called the Back of the Book campaign. Now, this was a response to a need for me and Monty here, and then I just kind of formalized it, and I'll put it in a document and let everybody else do what they will with it. But we'll get to that later in the show. And then also we've got the excellent paint entries in Monty. Did you take a look at these things?
I did. Some great entries, lots of entries too, lots of work.
A lot of work numerically. Like, people painted a lot of models for this, which is awesome. I think I'm not going to go back, but I'd have to say this is probably the most models we've seen painted. Not the most entries. We had nine entries. I think we had 11 or 12 at the height of the summer one before I took a little break. But they're all posted on the Discord, and I think that worked pretty well. Hopefully everybody who wanted to post an entry was able to figure it out and get on there. That just makes it a whole lot easier for me to do this. So thank you to everybody. And, discreetly trying to drive new people to the Discord, Monty. Did anybody stick around who posted and join a discussion on anything?
Yeah, we did. We did have a little bit of more traffic on Discord, and I mean, literally within the last 30 minutes, someone was asking me for a link. So, good job on having that server up there. It's really driving discussion, traffic, and like you said, the photos for the contest are all sitting up there. And now that people have done it once or twice, it's easy next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and apparently there's even more advanced features, which we'll talk about later. I didn't know that.
Right.
But, little tease for later. So, all right, let's get to the Saga news and events. Monty, I don't have anything here. Do you? Got anything
Nothing
up your sleeve there?
It's all quiet on the Saga front.
Looks like we were fed false information on the forum regarding a FAQ last time.
Oh, no. Yeah.
That's probably still in the works, I would say. I mean, I think there's enough out there that they need to do a little something for Hannibal, but I guess the timing on it, I don't know. But other than that, still dry on the events. Hopefully that'll change. Let's go to some comments from the last time.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, I'll do three here again. Terry Donor, great show as usual. Question on spacing for a particular unit. My regular opponent often will space figures out 2 inches, parentheses max, between figures. The effect is to screen other units this way and prevent charge lines. Curious on your thoughts. Monty, any thoughts on that? I mean, we've kind of touched tangentially on that stuff with draws and charges and stuff like that. But any ideas popping out here?
Yeah, maybe the simplest way I think there is to describe it, and right out of the rule book, is that the first figure deployed or moved, when you're all done, each figure's within VS of the other one, but everyone has to be within S of that first figure. So if you throw to the left and right of that first figure, your unit frontage should never exceed maybe just a touch over 8 inches, right? Because the base of the special figure. So like if someone's doing this with a 12-pack levy, no. or you'd even have to be a little careful with your 8-pack. So you just really need a few more facts, Terry. But if they're doing it with a levy, then for sure that's not a thing they could do. You do also have to drill in for the mounted units because they have a wider formation radius.
Yeah, they go to medium, and so the max width for an infantry unit is actually, you got the middle guy, probably about 1 inch, and then it's just 4 inches to the next guy, and then his base is about 1 inch too. So between the 3 guys and about 4 inches in between, it's about like a 10.5, 11 inch you can gum up with just normal size bases. And then with Cav, they have the mediums. Their bases could be bigger. You could shunt them sideways. You get a little extra length there, like a 2 inches. So you could gum up, like 14, 16 inches with Cav, actually. A few are kind of nuts, but you do need the bodies, so you have to have at least, I would say, 5 guys, because you got a guy in the middle and then 2 on each side at a minimum to be able to do that. So you need at least 5 bodies either way. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something you can do. It's probably something I'll be thinking about more as I play the pagan peoples here. And because I've been thinking about Hearthguard, Monty, after our game. And, they're the Javelin Hearthguard, the heavy weapon Hearthguard. So they're susceptible to attack. But if I just get some bodies in the way, that could be good enough. So just as a general rule, I would say you probably want a bunch of guys in base-to-base contact, unless you have a specific plan, specifically to block. But I wouldn't default to spacing them out necessarily. What do you think of that, Monty?
Yeah, I agree. You get into some issues with, charges and getting other units around them. So I agree. I tend to bunch up. But like you said, there can be times when you're trying to fill a gap or screen or protect the unit from a charge. And maybe you do want to use, within the Saga Rulebook page 8 requirements, maybe you do want to spread out.
Yeah. I think probably one of the main reasons you would spread out is for warlord casualties, kind of, or to be within range of We Obey. So your warlord's kind of like he's like a little sun, a little gravity piece. When he goes by, like little units kind of, they pull out and kind of follow him around. So that's the other reason you would space out your guys, either to get just within short or get the heck out of short. But good question. And if he pulled off some kind of weird trick or something, let us know, Terry. I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I know, don't like the Romans have something where they can move through their own guys or something like that?
Oh,
is that on the Roman board?
Yes. Age of Hannibal Romans can. There is something where they can move through each other, which is a great way to bring your fresh troops up.
Yeah, so that could be a good way to use them, because if you guys are spread out, you're gumming up your own guys too. But the Romans don't got to worry about that. Get your levies spread out. Do the 16-inch with your one unit of Cav. These are my screen, and they block it. Okay. Good question. Number 2 here, Herkus Monty. I saw he just recently posted the Crusaders. Which video was that? The Levantine Crusaders for his getting started with Age of Crusades series?
Yes. Yep.
So he posts here, we were talking about mercenaries last time. He says you can play all the sailors you want if you choose the Pagan Raiders faction from Age of Crusades. So that's in the Old Friends, New Enemies section. I believe I got that correct. Have you ever looked at the Pagan Raiders, Monty?
I have not.
Well,
I have not.
You are in for a treat. I've been approached by the mighty Herkus, and we're going to be discussing the Pagan Raiders and the Hungarians, Armenians, and I can't remember which the last one is. One of the caliphates, I think, for the Crusades.
Okay.
I I can't remember the fourth old friend, new enemy, but
Yeah.
we are going to go over those and
Well,
probably
awesome.
sometime in February or March. That video might come out. We haven't recorded it yet. Now that I've talked about it, I'm sure there's going to be some technical gremlins for Herkus to deal with. But
It's the way of the world.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And I kind of had the Pagan Raiders in mind when I was decided on the Eastern Heathens warband, you know, because that's another, you got all the Viking era models, you got pagan peoples, you can do Pagan Raiders, you know, so, and Eastern Princes kind of with all those same models. So it's pretty good bang for your buck. And they play pretty cool. All right. Lastly, we got Mark Darling. He says, interesting discussion. So once again, we were talking about mercenaries. Hadn't dug into Crusaders mercenaries, to be honest. Now, I was of the opinion that mercenary units cannot use advanced abilities as per page 47 of the rules. Am I missing something here, chaps? So, unfortunately, even after all our discussion, there's still some confusion. That was kind of one of my worries with that last episode. We weren't necessarily clarifying things, but page 47 has 3 stipulations, very specific about what mercenaries can't do. And then Herkus piped in, and he actually mentioned the fact. So I think we touched on it, but I'm just going to read from it here because I think it is a little more clarifying. And then we probably won't talk too much more about mercenaries in this episode, but next episode, we're going to circle back around to finish off the Crusade mercenaries. Isn't that right, Monty? We're going to,
Yes.
the ones we didn't talk about, we'll talk about. And then kind of the ones we trashed a little bit, we're gonna find them a home because we're positive.
Shine them up.
Positive people. Yep, exactly. So I think a lot of times in Saga, you look at something, it doesn't seem that good, but once you play with it, you're like, oh, this works out all right.
Yeah.
But in the FAQ mercenaries, page 2, so this is the 2019 one. Under mercenaries, it would be wrong to believe that mercenaries cannot benefit from advanced Saga capabilities. So that's pretty specific. The usage limitations of these advanced capabilities are set out on page 47 of the rulebook. Thus, for example, if one of your abilities indicated all your units have armor increased by 1 until the end of the turn, your mercenary units would see their armor increased, since this effect is not limited by the points indicated on page 47. Similarly, even if mercenaries cannot be activated by an advanced Saga ability, they may benefit from an ability with the keyword activation for its effects that would not be an activation, such as removing a fatigue or increasing armor as above. So I think that's a little more clear. I think we laid out pretty good. We probably should have quoted that when we were doing it last time. But I guess, it looks like Alex intended this nuance. Do you think he should have just made a blanket ruling saying they can't? Would that have been simpler? Would you have preferred that?
We play quite a lot of Saga, so I can deal with the nuance, but I do also understand that, to either a newer or more casual player, and even sometimes even I have to crack it open, remember it if I let it get stale. So I'm fine with the nuance. How about yourself?
Well, even if you had some kind of blanket, there would still be questions the other way, because you'd have something that said they can't benefit from Saga abilities or something. But then you have, well, I have an ability here that says all my units' armor are increased by 1.
Right. That's
so,
my unit.
It says all my unit,
Right.
You can,
right.
I mean, somebody's, so there could be
Good point.
arguments other ways. And then, I mean, they do use like your normal battle board abilities, so like combat pool and stuff. So you'd have to draw the line somewhere.
Agree.
I'm kind of with you. I see the argument for just banning them or just saying they don't benefit from anything ever, that's probably more simple. And if people want to play that way, I think that's perfectly fine. Or you could even have a tournament. Like if you wanted to, you can use the mercenary units, but we're just going to lay out on top of everything that they're not going to benefit from abilities, like especially if you had newer people, but want to keep the mercs in for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, Mark. And we will jump back to some merc chat next time. But let's move on to our hobby progress here. Monty.
Hobby.
You've got some pretty stuff here. I will say.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. These kind of
thanks,
came
dude.
out of nowhere. You were talking about them, but
right. They were my surprise, not very thought out project where I didn't want to do a project and impromptu just jumped in. I looked at the gripping beats, 2-ton figures, thought about the fact that they could play 2 boards, and that's pretty much all it took to push me in. So I did make good progress. It's a strange thing when you feel some wind in your sails, you got to use it. And January has been a pretty good month for me because in addition to this, I was doing some Age of Hannibal painting. But I got a 12 levy bow, 12 levy crossbow. I got 8 Fireforge 2-ton knights on foot. But more importantly, because they were kind of the test figures, I got on and finished at least 3 points of foot. I kind of roughed in 1 mounted and then got a warlord done. So the more I do on these guys, the faster it goes, and the faster it goes, the better it feels. So they're coming along quite nicely.
Yeah, they look great, man. What do you have left to do then? I mean,
I wanted to be able to, kind of in our friendly games in the background, I want to be able to have my Hearthguard, because the build is going to always be 2 points of levy and 4 points of Hearthguard. Not going to even bother with any warriors. There's just, the board is built for Hearthguard. So even though you can be punished for that, that's what I'm going to go with. So it'll be 4 points of Hearthguard, and I want to be able to have the Hearthguard be on foot or be mounted or a mix. And so I've got 12 mounted knights that I'm working on. A little bit of work because of, there's a lot going on there, but they're shaping up nicely.
Yeah. Wow, these guys look great. I love the touch of red on these guys. That really, makes it sing.
Right. And one other thing, I got to a point where I was looking at the basing, and again, you got so much white, and you got, the white and black, repeat. I'm kind of I'm getting a little nervous, and I'm like, should I bring in snow? And a buddy of mine said, dude, put some leaves down.
Yeah.
And I dug around, and I remembered I had 2 full containers of green stuff. I think they're called green stuff leaves, and they're red and they're brown. And I just started popping that down. And that's really almost all I needed to just repeat the red down on the ground and bring a little red.
I think that would have been a mistake to do even more white on the bases.
Right? They just disappear.
They look,
in the blizzard.
Yeah, they look great with the little birch seeds.
Nice.
Well done.
I like it.
Well, that's what those little things are, birch pods, seed pods or whatever.
Yep.
They look great. How did you, I never know. I have some of these, but I can never decide on the right way to stick them to the base. How'd you stick them on there?
Oh, you mean just basically your foot figures, how you put them down there?
How to attach the little leaves to the base?
Oh, the leaves. I just use white glue, and quite a lot. The truth is, a few of them fall off, but is there a better way? I mean, I don't normally do leaves on my bases, so this is new to me, and I slop a bunch in there. I try to mix up the colors and do it kind of slowly.
So you put a big glob of
pretty
paint,
big.
a glob of glue on the base, and then do you sprinkle the leaves on there? Do you dip them? Do you use a tweet? There's so many options here, Monty.
Right, I know. There's so many. I use a very precise instrument with a dab of glue to pull them out 1 or 2 at a time and then blop them on. And just, it's a little fiddly, but I'm trying to spread them out. I'm trying to get a nice mix of reds and browns. I did try, just FYI, I did try, like, I was like, what's missing is yellow leaves, right? So I went to try to paint in some yellow, and the yellow is so bright. It just looked terrible. These are natural reds and natural browns,
Yeah.
so when you add in a painted, it was a disaster. So those leaves came off. So I'm satisfied with the natural, but in the future, I think I have a green stuff leaf
Like a
cutter that you put
puncher?
the right
Yeah, okay.
puncher. So I need to run around during fall, get red, yellow, browns, punch them, and make my own collection. I don't know. Maybe I have to seal them. This is all new to me.
I don't know. Well,
I'm gonna have
it
to
looks
learn.
good. People with those bases, you always get comments on whenever you do
Oh,
those leaves.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it looks so good. So yeah, these guys look great. Nice
Thanks.
work. The dude with the big sword.
Yep.
Where's that sword from? Is that what he came with? Is that
So
the
it
gripping
is.
beast guy?
Yeah, so people kind of derisively refer to it as the stripper pole. If you see it on the website, he's holding it like it's just at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I changed it up. My idea was, and I actually finished the basing after I sent you my photos.
Mm-hmm.
I put the sword in his hand so it looks more triumphant. It's up in the air,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the other way. And then I've decided to do a shield that will pop on and off. So this foot warlord can be both warlord standard build and warlord heavy
Heavy
weapon if I
weapon.
want to change. And then I needed to do something. I knew I was going to do leaves. I put a head down there, so I made it kind of gory. I slapped a little head. I slapped some red paint on him and on a shield and a little bit on a sword. And then there was a head laying there looking up like, how did I lose? So
Ah.
yeah, nice little touch.
Gruesome. Nice. Well, yeah, they turned out great. Yeah, hopefully we can get them done up here in February.
Oh yeah.
So I've been painting some stuff as
Right.
well. So I did
I
do
saw the picture.
some more of the heathens. So I don't have too much to say about these guys. So these were taking the ones that I had done like 85 or 90% of the work on, and basically went back and finished them to my heart's desire, 99.5% quality.
Yes. Yes. They are amazing, dude. And I think we'll talk about it later. My exact words back to you were, I love it. I look forward to the day when I can see these in person, but just hopefully not on the other side of the table from me. So no offense.
Well, we gotta get a physical manifestation of our digital campaign. Um, yeah, so these guys are coming along.
Oh yeah.
I've had 32 of them were kind of mostly done. So this is the second batch of 8. And it is pretty motivating playing the campaign here.
Yeah, it is.
So besides these guys, I've been pretty busy. I painted some HeroQuest stuff, doing
Yep.
new techniques, and I actually took on a commission job, Monty, painting.
Wow, dude.
I've never done in the mid 2000s I did a commission when I was in college, but yeah, because I'm almost done with my Infinity project.
Okay.
And so I've been having a lot of success jumping between different little things. And, I have an Infinity Warband that is completely, you need 15 guys to play. I'm going to have like 40, every variation. And even this is one of those things where you can use your models for other war bands. And so I got those guys done. So it's like I'm not going to start another faction, and I haven't even played one game with this one, so I was like, well, maybe the time is ripe. So it's god tier models,
Okay.
and I'm timing myself to see how long it takes. So there was 2 ideas, just to have some extra motivation to record how long I was doing everything, because I've tried that before and I kind of you kind of just lose the thread and whatever. But I've been tracking everything, and then trying to get myself to paint a little quicker as well. So having some extra motivation. That part, it's not going so good here. I will say, but it is fun, and I'm actually using almost entirely oil paints on these things.
Wow.
So he gave me basically complete freedom to do whatever I want. So that was kind of the only way I was going to do a commission. So yeah, I laid on the base coats with acrylic, airbrush, but then all the highlighting and everything else on top of it is oil paints, and it's working like really well. And
Okay.
so
Wow.
probably next month I'll show off some pictures of those, and so I'm close to halfway done. So I kind of have some thoughts, kind of gestating there, and by next month I'll have some photos to share, and kind of my thoughts about that going forward. But so far it's working really well. I know people have posted in the Discord. I know Herkus has messed around with oils. There's another fellow I've seen doing oil stuff
with his Age of Hannibal stuff.
So yeah, depending what you want, oil paints could be the way to go here. So
okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I would suggest maybe picking some up, but you could wait for my full report next month, Monty.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Rodge.
And,
awesome. You were really on fire in the world of painting. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the key is kind of like we talked about last time and the time before, having stuff ready to go. So I've been assembling kind of when we're doing TV, and kind of I'm supposed to be watching the kid stuff, but I can glue an arm on and still watch him, Monty. Don't you judge me.
I have no judgment here. Trust me.
Yeah, so just having stuff in the pipeline and then just switching. And it's weird because my whole mindset is like totally different, where like with these heathens here, before I was like, oh, there's so many. I'm never going to get these done. Adepticon's coming up. I have to do so many by this week to get, or else I'm in the hole even worse the following week. But now it's just, yeah, I'll get them done. I'll just keep working on them. And like the Hero Quest models, I'm spending like a lot of time on those, and it's fun. It's kind of pointless. And then I'm going to do the whole set, and I'm like, these Famir are taking forever, the 3 guys in blue. But I'm like, we get another 3 down, I'll just start the next little batch a couple weeks from now, and so that kind of started with that Infinity Warband, and like, those guys are almost done, and I'm just kind of doing icing on the cake stuff there. So if you just do a little bit, just keep jumping around, and it'll get done.
That's it.
The paint pot's half full, Monty.
Good times.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Awesome.
All right. Well, let's jump to some games we've been playing. Monty, you've got some actual in-person stuff here. Am I correct here?
Yeah. So Minnesota's numbers are better. So the Giant store, the Giant store we play at is open. Almost nobody's there, but I kind of rolled it around, mask up, meet my buddy Scott. He brought out Saracens, and I brought out the Baltic Crusaders. So this was
okay. I was wondering which ones you used.
Right. So this was my second run out. And like I mentioned earlier, for painting, I keep, my build is the one I have painted. So I had 2 points of levy, 1 archer, 1 crossbow, and 4 points of foot knights with a mounted warlord. I had kind of a roughed-in mounted warlord. I wanted the speed. So it was interesting, right? Excuse me. We were playing Clash of Warlords. We rolled up the special rule, Dawn, no shooting or charges over M, which is a bit of a problem since I've got 1/3 of my warband sunk into
It's a bit of
shooting.
a problem.
It is just a little bit, but we started marching across the battlefield. His interesting twist was he had 2 units of foot warriors, 1 mounted warrior, 1 levy, and then an 8-pack of Hearthguard with composite bows. And I knew that that was the hammer, and that was going to be the hammer that would just shoot me and shoot me and shoot me all game long. So I was sweating blood. I was worried about like whether he's going to be aggressive and try to sneak in an opportunity charge. But I was building my board. We're going along, and it was a game. I would just kind of summarize it. It was a game typical of Saga with wild swings, haymakers thrown that didn't even leave a scratch. Like, for example. He opens up on player 1. I don't move anything. I park my 3 dice, get ready, because I know, Scott and I play a lot, so I'm like, I got to be ready for the haymaker. And he throws his mounted warriors in with a full board and 3 rares parked on there. So he's got like max effects and abilities going. And they go in, and he clears his board, and I lose one knight. And he loses like 2 warriors, has to withdraw. And because of the sequencing of things, he got him stuck in front of my crossbow and my archers. I shoot him just about off the table, and that's like turn 1. Like nothing happened. His board is empty. His warriors are down.
You killed him, yeah.
Right. And so like it was trending so badly. Like we just really informally were like, I was just crazy. Like his dice were so bad. I was like, dude, if we have to, we could do a reset. We could just fire up, a second game. So no worries. So slightly, perhaps overconfidently, like on the heels of this, pending victory, I took my only mounted knights. And that's right, I did have a 4-pack of knights, and I double moved them across the table because I had a shot on his composite Hearthguard. And so I've set up my extra dice, I've set up my defensive plays. I am going to come with a fatigue, but he's got one too, so I need to take him out because they're armor 4s and I'm armor 5. So I'm like, I should be able to do this. So all the dice are rolled, the results are checked. I lose half my unit, and I don't kill any of his, and I recoil. And it's just like, that's kind of like how the game keeps going. You empty your board, you throw the haymaker, nothing. And you're like, has anyone learned how to, the art of war, how to fight? So it kind of went back and forth like that. And out of frustration, I just started pumping my dice into shooting because I had, 2 levy units and just firing them up, and he was making his saves. The very end of the game, I kind of had him up, and then he snuck in the last of his Hearthguard composite bow and pinged my warlord and dropped him out of his saddle because I carelessly didn't have him within range of my knights. The battle had swirled, and it was just fun. It was a game where like at times you sigh, and then at times you laugh, then you sigh again, and it ended up in a tie. So that's it. End result, a tie. How about that?
Great! Wow, so rare, Monty warlord assassination.
Yeah,
that's a victory in and of itself. Put that in your pocket, Scott.
Exactly. Well done, Scott.
Awesome. Do you think? How does that matchup go?
It's a good one. Right, it's a good one, and the challenge, this will always be the challenge. I mean, I do like the Baltic Crusaders board. The ability to sweep fatigue is awesome, and I kept powering up Happy Hour the Humble. And of course, the turn at the end of the game when I've run out of dice and I couldn't, Happy Hour the Humble and, protect everything was the turn like his shooting starts warming up. So it's a good foil. I'm vulnerable to shooting, but I also can keep powering myself up. But then there will come a time where you, like in this game, I threw all commons, and you got to have some of the uncommons. Yeah, the juicy abilities all start with an uncommon. So I did get flat-footed when I threw all commons, and that's Saga. But it was fun. It was a good one. We're going to repeat, and he wants to work his way through all of the Islamic factions. He's going to do Mutts, and he's going to do the Moors in future games.
Oh, cool. So, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Very good plan. I think those play pretty differently from each other. So, oh, cool. Well, glad to hear that. Let's talk about our game. So let's just talk about the game first, and then we'll talk about the campaign and kind of the extra stuff that we've been doing. How does that sound good?
That sounds perfect, Rodge.
Okay, so this was set up in a Tabletop Simulator. Monty's a real pro now. He's the Sherpa of Saga Simulator here. And so we arranged a game. I was doing Pagan Peoples again. You mixed it up to the Baltic Crusaders,
right?
Which was good, perfectly fine. We leveraged the technology to make it a two-step game. So we started on I think a Tuesday night, deployed, got through turns 1 and 2, and then Saturday morning our time we finished it. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's really something you normally can't do with a game of Saga. I mean, even I played on Friday, but once you get set up and everything, that's like a whole night, a late night for me. I'm in bed by 10, Monty, so I'm not a night owl like you. So being able to split it into 2 parts was pretty cool. So I definitely consider that going forward, because my mindset before was there's no time during the week, no time for Saga, but there is if you're just willing to hit the save button. And so that was pretty cool. So we played actually Clash of Warlords, rolled it out old school using the rule book. We did throw on top of it the Acts of Faith from the Age of Crusades book, which is those few pages at the back there. So this was part of the campaign to play with these. So we threw those in. And I have to say, both of ours were really janky and maybe mistranslated. And I would, if you want to use these. So if you just glance at them, you might think they're like special abilities or spells or powers or something. What they are is like additional objectives. So if you take the time to read them, they're actually really good for Clash of Warlords or any like the Battle of Heroes, where it's just kind of a pitched battle type situation. These additional objectives could make it more interesting and say that my pagan people will want to just hang out in the woods. Well, there's an objective where you got to get across to the other side of the table or something like that. So it makes it a little more interesting. You're not 100% playing your game. You got to kind of work around these objectives. Now, they're only worth like a few points, so they're not big game changers, but the wording on both of ours was kind of messed up. So if you want to use them, I would just go over it with your opponent beforehand, because we selected them and then we're deploying and then trying to figure out what they meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yours, you put down some objective markers.
Right, 3.
That your warlord would just kind of run over. And, if you were playing a diagonal deployment in Clash of Worlds, they had to be in my deployment zone. But if they weren't, they could be like just 12 inches out. So you just kind of put them right outside your deployment zone, and you kind of just walked over them. But, so that didn't, and if you play diagonal, it has to be on the other side. But, something was missing. And then mine, like I had to charge enemy units, and my troops gain the pride ability, but which means you have to charge like a hero or a warlord or something, but you gain it against like every enemy unit. Yeah. So like it doesn't mean anything then if everybody has it. So you kind of gotta figure out what they meant. So it would be good candidates for the FAQ, I guess. Probably no one's really looked. We might be the first people to have looked at them
to
closely.
Have opened that, right?
But during the game, though, that might have actually kind of hurt you a little bit, you were saying, because you put your objectives right close on your deployment side, but you had to spend time with your warlord kind of gathering the energy crystals, and you might have wanted to charge him out at some point.
It's true. There was a moment, turn 2 and 3, where I was eyeing something and I wanted to get them up and out. And the way those were placed, I needed to grab all of them. And the failure to even get one would cost me a minus, one massacre point. And in a close game, I'm like, okay, so the first 3 turns, Warlord is just going to be, grabbing one at a time. 1, 2, 3, Pac-Man them up. But, that's, I got a benefit. I got all 3 of them. I just couldn't lead with my Warlord. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this one started pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
You got yourself a big hill in the middle,
Yep.
a regular hill, Monty, but you still put all your guys on foot.
Yeah.
But I guess
I was trying the opposite of last build where I had all mounted, and I wanted to see if I could be kind of bulletproof with Happier the Humble. So starting with a armor 5/5, 5 to shooting, Happier the Humble, I go to 6 and I get resilience 1. So, but it did bite me to not have some mounted.
Yeah, I mean, so we had the hill in the middle. I had basically uneven on either side. You had the swamp in your deployment zone, so I can't teleport to that, so that was smart. And then I had a forest, which was like my little reserve, and I could fling out my guys. And it started out pretty slow. I did take in this one some warriors with bows for reaching out, and first turn threw out some shots, see if I could just gum up the works a bit, but didn't do too much. This was kind of tricky for me. All my guys have javelins, and then you got big levies with crossbow, so I feel you have the range advantage. So I was kind of picking at it, trying to figure out how to get at you, but the solution was just to overactivate a levy unit into the crossbow levy you had moved up.
Yep.
So I kind of put up, I was using the borders again, and they were kind of the bait, so I put up within double move range, but then I was within double move of you. So you had to go after them and try to get some crossbow shots. So you moved up, and then I slung the levies in there. And I kind of felt like I had to go after those guys because you were kind of bulletproof with that Saga ability up. I mean, it was a dice sink for you each turn, but it did change things. I think I only got 1 hit. Anytime I did shoot, I got 1 hit because I remembered you had taken the guy off, and I'm like, well, don't you want to use the resilience to just take a fatigue? And you're like, oh yeah, I will do that. So that only happened once, I remember. So I mean, it worked. They kept the shots off them for sure. Would have changed what I did, but just putting the levy in, 6 levy, moving up. Throw a couple shots. Your armor 3, kill a couple. Go into combat. I have javelins. You can't close ranks. Kill a couple. You can't kill them back. So I could just put them again, and so it just exhausts you, exhausts me, and I've exhausted this little sucky unit. And then you got like your crossbows, kind of a linchpin in some ways.
They were down for the game.
And then, so that kind of went my way, and then you kind of brought it back. Wiped out the borders, so the mercenaries, that went well for you. So I would say turns 3 and 4 kind of went my way then, because I wiped out 2 Hearthguard units.
Yeah, that was turn 4, I think. That was a brutal turn. I had made some headway taking out the borderers, but it left me a little exposed because I think I had to double move to get them. And I was trying to play my fatigue sweeping abilities, but you guys have some great ways to dish fatigue. In addition to board play, you also have the trick, which I just didn't account for, not having played Pagan People enough, was you were willing to take your tiny levy packs and throw them on my Hearthguard repeatedly and jack up their fatigue. And then when you hit me with Lama,
Yeah, the auto hits.
Yeah, the auto hits on the Hearthguard when I'm closing ranks, that's just brutal. Or even not closing ranks. It's just, well, no, I had to close ranks because you're hitting me with
otherwise it's javelins.
Yeah, you're going to get a +1, and you're going to be taking out Hearthguard with your levy.
Yeah, so really,
yeah,
I could see it would be frustrating for you, because then you're closing ranks, and then you can't kill the levy, wipe them out. So you killed, 2 or 3 maybe. I'm like, well, there's 3 or 4. I can do it again. Yep. And so, yeah, I was surprised by how much fatigue I was able to get on your dude. Oh, yeah. Even with your brutal. Like super kind of sloughing abilities. And then I guess I was surprised that I'm like, oh yeah, I guess my warlord is like my main hitting piece, because he wiped out 1 unit on his own. And if you're exhausted, and you're going in with javelins,
you're done.
I can pit myself up too if I need to. It's not such a bad play. And so that was cool. Turn 5, you pulled back, so you were ahead 3 or 4 points, or maybe 6. I think it was like 20-14, something like that. And then I kind of set up for a turn 6, so I didn't really do anything, but just queued up my board. Turn 6, you pulled back again, and then on my 6, I double moved the warlord, finished off the crossbows with a pretty epic chart. I think they still had 2 fatigues on them. So I used their Perkins to give him 4 bonus attack dice with the warlord. So he had 12. There was 5 or 6 of those little guys. I had to wipe them all out.
Yep.
And so, but I had 12 attacks with a +1 to hits. That was like auto hits on them. And so that was super brutal play there. But then it came down on the other side to some teleporting through the woods. You were able to intersperse your Hearthguard. I was going after the archers, but you were able to use, God's Host to kind of react and get in the way.
Right.
And
activation reaction.
It came down to the 6 warriors versus 4 Hearthguard. I don't think you had anything left here.
Yeah, you cleared out my board with your warlord wrecking ball.
But then I was lucky enough that I had rolled a rare at some point and put it on my reroll hits. So I was 6 attacks hitting on 5s with a reroll. And I think you were all in 8 hitting on 4s. I killed 2 Hearthguard, and you killed 1 warrior, and that brought it within a draw range. So I would have to get like super, like hella lucky to pull it all the way back the other way. But I knew I could probably bring it back on that last turn, but it did come down to that last dice roll. So that was cool. That was really fun. Yeah, I'm starting to get it. I'm feeling things with this board here, Monty. I want to do some things differently. So one thing was I'd always put all the warriors in the woods to sling them out and teleport them. So I think I told you next time I want to get some levy in the woods, because sometimes they're more expendable. You want to teleport them and sling out and move out, shoot. If you're going to double activate anyways, you might as well get a couple javelin shots on the way over.
Yeah, good point.
I was surprised by how many activations I was able to get, and just with my screens and everything. So I kind of poo-pooed the Hearthguard earlier, a couple episodes ago, and used the borderers. And the borderers are fine. They worked out fine. I got a charge off with them. They got extra attacks and stuff like that. They're definitely not bad, but I think I'm going to drop them, and then I'm going to put in some Hearthguard, because I think with the part of the strength of the list is, you don't know where I'm going, Monty. I could go anywhere.
Right. It's true. It's true, which kind of nullifies or flattens out my God's Host, my activation of Hearthguard during your turn to rest or move. I kept trying to move, That was my goal. And you sometimes saved your die up on Umber Prama, and I thought you had 3 more activations, and I didn't know where you would be coming from. So I would hold my activation, and then you'd say, my turn is done. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess my turn is, my reaction is done. So, yeah, a lot of trickery.
Yeah, so I think with all the levy bodies, being able to hunker down in the woods, the Danax, the heavy weapon guys aren't as much of a liability. I think the Javelin Hearthguard mounted could be interesting. They don't have those like obvious, react to run away, Welsh or abilities like that. But I mean, there's enough activations that I could just do it like manually. I can activate them to move, come back. I could use the Kira. If I do get a rare, I could come back without a fatigue, but otherwise I just move over, throw my javelins, run away with another activation, get a fatigue, but there's levies in the way, so they can't get me. I start the next turn, I rest, do it again if I want. It's 3 activations, but I was rolling like max dice, and as long as the rares keep coming, the activations are flowing. So using 3 activations on that isn't as big deal if you have like 7 or 8 activations compared to most war bands have 4 or 5. On a really heavy turn, it might be 4 or 5.
Right.
But yeah, I think turn 3 or 4 where I had like I think I had like 10 or 12 different activate. I just kept going. I was like, oh, hold up, I got this one is could be a move or a charge.
If you're going to keep it up, the Baltic Crusaders are going to get on a ship and go to the Levant. They're going to switch. They're like, go to someplace where there's not so much activation. Anyways, well done.
Yeah, it was fun. I was kind of wondering how I was going to try to crack it. I mean, we had a draw in the end, but I feel like I could play against Crusaders again.
Oh, yeah.
And make it happen. So the interesting about that game, was we had some spectators, Monty. Do you want to talk about how you set that up? Because I'm assuming we could probably do it again at some point.
Yeah. So this is a little trick I picked up in another game in another format, but it's in Discord. When you go into Tabletop Simulator, it somehow must throw a message to Discord.
And so,
right? It does. There's some sort of linkage because I have Discord open and I have it on my PC. That was the key. And then I have Tabletop Simulator on my PC, so they're on the same device. And then as I was loading the server and getting the game ready, it said something like, do you want to stream your game? And I think the key was I had a channel open for our audio. So maybe that was a link. So then it threw a video, like it basically streamed the game. And we had probably 4, maybe max 5 people hop in and kind of go on mute and just, they were either painting and watching or, just had it in the background. And it was a chance for them to like see what it looks like in a tabletop simulator game, see strategies, listen to our scintillating discussions.
Yeah, the masters of the game.
Right. Me getting an Advil for my headache after the 12th activation. Yeah. So it was pretty cool. So you could throw that to your phone, and just put it up to you next to your painting station, which I've done before, and just either listen, look on occasionally, and be doing a couple things, and maybe pick up some tips. But yeah, that was the first time I've streamed a game in Discord, and that was pretty cool. People like it.
Yeah, that was really cool, and I guess I was always wondering why Discord, people used it, because it just seemed like a forum kind of. But I guess if all that functionality is built in with streaming and the audio and everything, that makes more sense. And you can use it on your phone and everything. So that was really cool. We'll definitely have to do it again. I guess if people found about it through the Discord, so it's another reason to get on the Discord. I guess if we're going to do it again and announce, I could maybe announce it on the channel comment. There's like community posts I can make, so I can do it that way just to let other people know that that's going on. But I thought it was really cool. I guess one thing I would like to do, so during our game, you know, with the interface and stuff, there's like feedback if people had their mics open and stuff, so people couldn't talk to us. But I think next time after the game, we should, I mean, assuming that once the game is over, we could just pop out of the game and then we could just like hang out, and then people could be like, Monty, why didn't you why did you move them, your guys over at that point? Why didn't you, do this? Or why didn't you pop this a bit? You could do like a little Q&A kind of thing.
I like that. Make it more interactive.
Yeah.
In-game, Rodge, it's generally considered, and of course it's always, whatever you want it to be, but it's generally considered like if you're playing in the club and someone walks in and they start like moving your dice around for you, that's kind of bad form, right? I mean, you're playing a game with someone. So it's kind of the same, like if you're casual, to be saying, oh yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to do this, So, and no one did. That's not my point. My point is like they're all quiet, they're doing their thing, everyone's on mute. But then you're right to open it up and like at the end say, hey, are there any questions, feedback, observation, whatever. Just make it a little more interactive, and people may or may not be interested, but just give it the chance. I like it.
Yeah, so that was cool, and we'll definitely try to do that again, so stay tuned. And I guess the best way to find out about it is on the Discord. But so that was our game. That was a lot of fun. That was part of our Back of the Book campaign. Monty and I are engaged in a mortal combat to the death for control of the channel. Whoever wins the campaign will assume total control of the channel. I got it all on the line here.
I love it.
Yeah, so you weren't having a lot of luck setting up tabletop simulator games. So I agreed to play a bunch of games against you. And I thought that was good because it's always, you're a good opponent, and it's fun to play Saga and have opponents. So I don't know if I think maybe you had the idea originally to do some kind of mini campaign or something. I know I kicked it back to you. I think, I don't know if you planted the seed initially.
Right. Yeah, just kicking that around. But I mean, I've done no work, and then you just produced this. So well done.
I was like, why don't you, think about it or something. And then the next day, I'm like, Monty, check out these PDFs I'm going to post. Can you go over it once? I think I got it. So this, I was kind of thinking about, well, what are we going to do here? So there's the Age of the Wolf and the Limes campaign, and those exist, and we could use them. They're for older editions. The Limes would actually be kind of work. You got barbarians and the civilized crusaders come. You could have done something with that. Problem is, I've never played those, and they're for older editions, so you got to fix whatever stuff. And then we're doing different factions.
Right.
And then I heard the Limes thing was kind of boring or something, and so I really have to dig in deep to figure out how we're going to change it to make it better, So we took a step back from that. And then I was looking at everything, and, there's enough. There's actually enough with everything else. We don't have to make anything up, because at the back of every book, there's a couple just extra pages of fun things. So that's where the name of the campaign system, whatever you want to call it, comes from. It's the Back of the Book campaign, because almost every book has some little extra optional things that they threw in, and they're always optional. And you're not at the club playing for tournaments or whatever. You're not ever going to try that stuff necessarily. So Monty and I are going to play a bunch of games against each other. I want to keep using the pagan peoples, and Monty, he's got his new guys he's working on. Originally, I kind of bullied you into the Ordenstadt at first, but we've agreed you can switch back and forth if you want. And if you're going to play somebody over and over, I think Saga is kind of a bad game for that, playing the same factions against the same person over and over. You can get, kind of predictable, or here comes my hit with my ability. If it succeeds, we know that it's going to be really tough for you to come back because that's happened 3 times before or something like that. And if you botch it, well, now it's my game.
Right.
And so the best thing to do is just keep using different factions, and that's the best way to mix it up. But I just wanted to keep using the peoples and try to learn these guys.
Right.
You want to learn those guys.
Yep.
So if we're doing that, how can we keep it fresh? And the way we're going to do that, we're going to try it all. We're gonna try everything. So the format for the campaign is pretty simple. We don't want to do a lot of work, and I'm gonna go through it, and then at the end I'll present like an alternate way to go through it. But basically, each warlord is gonna gain experience as described at the back of the book of battles. So there's that different domains and those tiered abilities. They gain experience points. So that's perfect for a campaign. We can track it from game to game. It makes sense. None of the abilities are that crazy or bonkers. So that was fine to use. The winner of each game gets a bonus that they carry forward to the final game. So the games matter as you go through, but you win the campaign, just whoever wins the final game wins, so it's not a campaign where, I have all the, my castle's fully outfitted, Monty, and your pathetic camp, as, mud pits, and, I burn down your tents. So you can't possibly win. It's not one of those.
Right.
It's just whoever wins the final game wins. So when you win a game, you're going to get a little bonus towards that final game. Now, the loser, so we talked about campaigns before with, I believe, Wojciech from Poland, and I think you and I talked about campaigns after that episode. How do you balance them? So the loser of each game will get to kind of decide the terms of the next battle, set it out, and then either subtly or blatantly, like, put things in their favor. And, that kind of depend on the skill level of the folks. So for our final battle, you want to set it out ahead of time so everybody knows what it's going to be. You and I, we're going to do a game of Epic Saga. I mean, that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
Cool. And then every time we win, the winner will get 2 additional inspiration points to use in that game. So keeping it simple. It's not really a lot of bookkeeping or anything. Now I was thinking you could really go nuts, Monty. So you could have the last game be like a mass battle game if you're playing with multiple people. You could have ruses in that game. You could have re-rolls. I win more games, so I get more points of troops. I get more mercs. I get more Saga dice. I can bring a relic or artifact with me. So you could, whatever you guys decide, like, you could go nuts on that. But we're just going to use a little extra inspiration points. And then during the games, I'm calling these the trials. So we're trying to hit basically a checklist before the final game. So you and I are going to play. I don't think we've talked about it, but I think once we hit all these checkpoints, then we're done. We'll play the final game. Does that
perfect.
Sounds good? So we've tried it all. So what kind of stuff is on the checklist? So I'll just go through some of these. So tried every unit and equipment option available to your faction. So this isn't every game, use them all in one game, but you have to try everything that your faction can offer. So I have to take the heavy weapon Hearthguard. I have to try the other Hearthguard. I have to try my Warlord on foot sometime. You have your variants that you probably don't want to take, but you gotta just try them out. Just play a game, just see. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. In that same vein, play with a war banner on a unit. That's not the warlord. So at some point you got to use a war banner. At some point we have to play with a war banner on your warlord. So I don't know, choose, at some point, if you don't want to do it, too bad. You got to, this might be the right scenario to do it, kind of deal. Play with a unit of mercenaries, except for heroes. Play with a priest, troubadour, bard, or the personal champion is another one. So, do we want to use these? No, we don't, but we're going to try it.
Yes, we will.
It's probably going to be fun and different than the last game that we played. Play with a legendary unit or warlord is another one. So, we're just leaning in. There's so much stuff that you can convince yourself you don't want to use, but if you just try it, this is like with the Hearth Guards all over again, Monty.
Right.
We talked them up. We don't like them. We don't want to use them. And then you played a game with all Hearth Guards with Vikings, like the worst faction. And, this worked actually pretty good. This was kind of nice, being able to take these hits. And it was kind of nice being able to generate Saga dice. And, it was really flexible. With all these Hearth Guard, I could move anybody in, any dice. And so just give it a shot. Similarly, moving on to some of the special rules. So play a game with the Acts of Faith from the Crusades book. That's why we did that. So we tried it. We thought it was a little janky, needs a little work. But next game, maybe we'll try relics or artifacts. So it's from the Vikings book. So I saw a mighty steed in there, Monty. It looked pretty cool.
Wow. Okay. So even though we're playing in Age of Crusades, we can sample over there. Okay, I see this. I see.
Yeah, so you can, this is like an example checklist that I put together. So people using it can agree to whatever they want, and I don't see a reason why we couldn't use those. And the same thing with the ruses from Hannibal.
Yeah.
They're generic ones that we can pick from. There's no reason we can't do those. If you're playing Age of Vikings or Hannibal, I don't see a reason why you couldn't use a war banner. I don't think they're in either book, but if you guys wanted to, why not? Give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then scenarios. So play Clash of Warlords, play a skirmish scenario, a battle scenario, play a legend. We're going to try a legend one at some point here. We're going to try a mass battle. So at some point we'll have to recruit somebody for Tabletop Simulator.
Right.
At least another one or two. Play a scenario from Aetius and Arthur, Age of Invasions. So we couldn't leave that book out. So we're just pulling from all the books. So we're going to try it all. And 2, 4, 6, 7. So this is maybe at least 6 or 7 games to try all this. And so if you want to try these, you could just mash them all together. So I think my example was we could play a warlord with a war banner, mercenaries, ruses, acts of faith, in a battle scenario. We could do that all in one game, but we're probably not going to do that. But you could. Some expert level Saga. So that's kind of how you set up your games. We're talking about how you win. So the loser then, the terms of defeat. So this is kind of loose, keep it flexible. But basically the loser can choose 2 or 3 different things. So you guys will have to decide at the start how you want to limit this. But so the loser can choose this scenario. They could choose the attacker or defender if they want. So that makes sense. They could decide who goes first without rolling. They could decide if they're going to use relics or artifacts. They could decide which artifact they get and which artifact the other guy gets. So Monty gives himself the mighty steed, and then I get you know, the dentures of Saint Benedict or something. I don't know what else is there that's not so synergistic with my force. They could decide if any warband options are on or off the table. So Monty could say, next game, you know, you can only take one levy unit instead of the 2 that you want, or you know what, you can't take any mercenaries, or, you know, your warlord has to be on foot next game, something like that. So all of these things, the loser can't decide all of these things that I'm talking about, and there's other ones on the list here, but they can decide 2 or 3 of those, and then that should be enough to kind of stack it in their favor a little bit. And, you know, the winner shouldn't be gruff about this, you know, just take it as a challenge, you know, and none of these are deal breakers in any way or form. I mean, if you can't win a game because you can only take 1 levy unit instead of 2, then you need to reconsider your life strategies or Saga tactics, if that's such a big deal to you that you can't win a game of Saga if you take a 1 levy unit less than normal. So that's kind of the idea, to keep it kind of loose. And then if there is like a big skill gap, or somebody keeps losing over and over, I mean, you could just say, Monty, you only get 5 points of troops now, and I get 6. Or I get 2 extra Saga dice every turn or something. I mean, you could get really explicit bonuses, but this kind of kept it to, you know, more just within the boundaries of the game normally, without adding any special rules or anything like that. Right. So does that make sense, Monty?
Makes perfect sense. Keep it light, keep it fun. That's the key right there.
Mm-hmm. So the way it works is I got a little checklist sheet. You'll just record your wins, your losses, your experience on your warlord, and then whenever you achieve one of these trials, you check it off, and you're good to go. Yeah, so that's kind of how it works. And so we'll lay out how our campaign's going, so there'll probably be a campaign update until we're done here. But the other thing you could do is, I've got this whole system laid out. You can just take the spirit of that and just agree, talk to whoever you want to play against a couple times and just talk it out and say, well, let's do it this game, or let's try this game. And you don't even have to write anything down. You just keep it casual and kind of do the spirit of this. We're just trying different things. So I think that would also be a suitable option. So I've got these documents up, and I'll have them linked below. I found the official fonts out there, Monty. You can, if you copy and paste from the documents, you can find out the official Studio Tomahawk fonts. They're not copyright or anything, but they look pretty official, but they're not. Let's be clear about that. So how is our campaign going here, Monty? We're 2 games in, so we kind of Monty graciously retroactively included his loss, which I think is kind of themey. You've got the Teutons are coming in to the swamplands. Right. They got some local guides, and they're like, yeah, this is where you want to go. And we're like, well, this is some rough ground here. We'll show you where to. We know where the trails are. Don't gotta know about that.
Yeah, that worked out well.
The pagans were circling, and I don't know, they might have paid them off. I don't know. They ended up killing them all. So those guys were traitors, and we set the whole thing up. So it started with a big ambush, right, and then we took it from there. So the next game, we worked on the Acts of Faith. So, your warlord had a crisis of faith, but he's gotten some visions, right, or something, and, circled the wagons. It wasn't quite a win, but,
no,
you put a put up a good fight for the pagans. So I've win and a draw. You've got a draw and a loss. My warlord has 8 experience, and I spent it on the renown ability or domain. So there's actually a lot of cool things you can do in there. So I could actually, one of them, you can give your warlord a bow on foot, which would be really awesome and themey for the pagans. But I didn't want to do that because like I want to learn how to play the warband. And so like normally I won't have a warlord with a bow skulking in the woods shooting guys up. And I was kind of looking, and I kind of kept that idea in mind because there's some abilities which grant you some real defensive abilities and attack abilities. So I stayed away from those because I think I might play him differently with those abilities than like the same thing. If I know his armor is really good, I'm going to play it really aggressively with him maybe. And then if I just play a normal game, I might expect to have that same level of durability, but I won't, in a normal game. So I chose Renown, and that I'll get these little tokens, and then at some point during the game, I'll be able to boost a dice roll. And the more I kick that up, the more of those tokens I get. So it's not doing anything different. I'm not going to play him differently because of the ability, but at some point I can I'll just get a little lucky right now with the renown ability.
Right.
So you went for wisdom. Your
Wisdom.
warlord has 6 experience, and so what does this ability do?
So instead of removing a fatigue during a rest with my warlord, I can roll and add a saga die. And one thing I spotted in our 2 games is you never run out of saga dice, and I do. So this is trying to paper over that gap.
Yeah, I think that's a really good ability. Saga. I was looking at it. I didn't have saga dice problems, but a lot of the time your warlord, the first couple turns he hangs back, so he could, just spend his activation to get an extra saga die. So that makes total sense. That's a good ability to have. And then I think on our checklist we hit 4 out of the 12 or 13 on here.
Yep.
I haven't done all the equipment options yet.
Nor have I.
In the next game, I think I'll be able to hit them. I'm gonna take some Hearthguard in the next game, Monty. But so you are going to set out the terms for the next game,
right?
Because you're still on the back foot here. Have you figured out what you want us to do? Or
I have not. I was actually concentrating on. We wanted to knock out the Age of Invasions, or Aetius and Arthur, and so I was kind of thumbing through those scenarios and trying to find something that gets you less terrain and gives me more of a chance to kind of chase you, run you down, and beat you. So
cool. Yeah,
I
that's
really didn't
perfect.
land on one, but you got to really read the granular details.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 or 4 or 5 in there. So I mean, Battle Around the Campfire is another classic one. So that'd be a good default. But take a look at those, and that's perfect. That's awesome, because normally if we were just going to play a game or set it up, be like, well, I don't want to do that one. That's not fair.
Right.
That's not fair to my guys. I don't want to play that scenario. But now it's like, yeah, sure. Like, bring it. Like, let me see if I can, you're trying to sink me here, skunk me, or whatever. Like, let's do this. Give it a shot. So yeah, definitely. I think one of them had a river in there. I don't know if was the one you were looking at, but it's time. Yeah, break out the rivers, the buildings. Let's do it, man. That sounds great. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Less terrain for me, a shot for you. That sounds good. So that is good. That's how our campaign's going. So probably shoot for once a month here at least, and then we'll try to give folks a heads up if we're gonna record it again or not. I'm assuming we probably will give that another shot this next month. But all right,
yes,
that's about it for the campaign, right, Monty?
That's it.
Let's
It's
do
fun.
the paint stuff, right?
On to paint. I got it open.
Okay. Now let me get the Discord. Oh, here it is. All right, you head on over to Discord. You head on down to the paint contest picks. Starts out on the bottom. You got to scroll back a little bit. Now, I posted all the picks from the last one. And it starts with Herkus Monte. So let's take a look at these here. And he's got a lovely warlord.
Yes, he does.
Now he's calling this guy the Dirk III, Count of West Frisia, who apparently is an actual person here.
Yeah.
Beat a vastly superior force sent by the Holy Roman Emperor Henry II at the Battle of Vlaardingen in 1018, gained concessions, and is viewed as a milestone to having an independent Holland. So that's pretty cool background.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this model before. Have you, Monty?
I have. I think might be a modified William the Bastard. I think it's Gripping Beast. I'm pretty sure it's Gripping Beast. I think the model normally comes with a club in his hand, and he's put an axe in there. So nice mod, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
He did a great job with this.
Yes.
I love the variations and tones on the horse. That's really cool. And the saddle's nice and popping. Great basing as always.
Beautiful.
Cool shield. Looks like an embossed shield, right?
Yeah.
Or is that
I think.
decal?
Well, yeah. Maybe with some paint, painted in edges, highlights. Yeah, it looks sharp.
From the back, you can see the nice highlights on the horse. Bold moves. Those damn horses. We're going to see a lot more of those. But great entry. Moving on to Chicago Saga guy. Now, do you know who this is, Monty? I don't. I'm assuming it's somebody that
Terry, and I think he is working on a whole Numidian warband. So
cool, yeah. So these are Numidian, looks like a levy or maybe an archer. Yeah, levy here.
Yeah.
And basic job. The shields are pretty cool.
Yep.
And then I've actually never seen it where I've liked just plain unpainted rocks on a base, but it actually I think it works here.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good.
I think
just
so.
Plain rocks. So yeah. Thank you, Chicago Saga guy.
Yep.
Maybe Terry.
Well,
maybe
on his
not.
way.
Looking cool. I got gray hair on all of them. A bunch of old guys, apparently. If they get put into if you can't ride a horse no more, you get put into the levee. We'll get you pushed out there.
Sounds like my life.
Oh, Bonnie, are you joining the levee soon? Oh, no.
Well, I haven't turned gray, but one day.
Oh, okay. All right. Next up, this could be pronounced different ways. I'm going to say Coco Limacon. Is that a tilde in the C? I don't remember what that means. But we have some horsemen here. I think these are the Eastern horsemen for his Russian warband. So that's great.
Nice, yeah.
These guys are very cool. I like the different colors. Basing's good. I like the hat of this guy on the end on the right side.
Right.
Are these gripping beasts too? Are these like
I do believe they are. I can recognize some of them
hoods.
as clearly gripping beasts. So I think overall looks like it might. Yeah, and it looks like they're horses too. So I think this is all gripping beast.
Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it turned out great.
A lot of work.
A lot of popping paint bottles open and shut or squirting them. Very cool. All right, next up, we got M. Teasdale. And we've seen his work previously, Monty. Do you remember the 4 Hearthguard? I think he won with those guys.
Yep.
And so he's got some Scandinavian / Baltic Crusaders. And these guys, what do you want to say about them, Monty?
Well, let's just say I think these are Fireforge.
They're Fireforge, I believe, yeah.
So I'm going to say I don't want my Fireforge levy standing next to his. My Fireforge will feel quite sad. These are lovely. Damn lovely. And I know how small the eyes are, and he has painted the eyes on they're not like, you know what I mean? There's some models that are made with like nice big almond eyes. Even someone like me can kind of get something in there. This is some pretty fine brushwork to, like, you know, get those in there.
Yeah, they are very well painted. The background, the way the photos are taken, are good enough. So good that I thought maybe Mr. Teasdale might have been putting the wool over eyes and taking a picture of unpainted models and then taking the official studio images and claiming them as his own. And so I went to the Fireforge website just to double check and see what their images were. And they were not the same ones. This appears to be his original work. They're actually much better than what they have on the Fireforge site, so maybe he should get in contact with them. The paint jobs are great. The photos, great. I don't know how to do photos like that. So if you could tell us how you did that, that would be very cool.
Would
the white background,
right?
Yeah,
would you say it's non-metal metal too, on top of everything else?
Yeah, it could very well be.
I mean, it's not.
I kind of don't think so. I think
maybe not. Okay.
He might mix in some grays to it to kind of dull it down, maybe.
Got it.
I think it is metallic, but maybe not. But very, very well done, Mr. Teasdale. Very good. Next up, we got Keith, and he's got the War Wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Love this thing.
Love it.
So, is there an official War Wagon model out there, Monty? Because I think I've seen something that looked like this before. I just assume that everybody's been like making these things, but
yeah, some people are making them from scratch.
He says
he does say it's a miscast, but
the planking had a bit of miscast on the plate.
Got it. But
it looks like he added some different things to it, and he's got some dudes chucking rocks, which is great. And yeah, it's cool. It's good to see the War Wagon out there.
Right. Love the model.
A lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like well exceeds a horse level of paint job.
Right.
I would say. That's cool.
Yes.
Like the little wheels. Okay. Moving on. Oh, I just want to share a couple more pics. Looks like there's some birds hanging in there. Did you see that last pic, Monty?
Oh.
Like they were.
Yes.
Like they poked.
Wow. Nice.
Nice weathering on the planks too.
Yep.
It'd be tricky to paint the insides. I mean, it looks like he did the like the wood grain on the insides and everything.
Agree.
Something you'd have to paint separately, but cool. It looks like like when they're not using it for war, they drag it out.
Hunting.
And the warlord, takes it hunting.
It's their duck blind.
Don't want to ride? Get me the wagon. All right, and Robin, 104277.
Mm-hmm.
Did some awesome
nice
Age of Hannibal.
Yep.
Looking for some Gaul charioteers here. So these look great.
Yes, they do.
It's got a cool backdrop. Chariots. I mean, he posted the pic. He had them all assembled. So it looks like he painted them with the horses side by side. I think we kind of talked about how
that seems
like a pain and you want to do it separately, but it looks like he did it all at the same time.
Yep.
And so I know that he posted additional pics of this army and like of this unit in the Age of Hannibal section of Discord. I do remember. He just did the one pic here, but yeah, they look cool. I like the little checkers around the horses, like their bridles on the lead unit there. Very cool. All right. Go popping down to Scott. Is this our Scott? Minnesota
Yes,
Scott?
it is Minnesota Scott.
So why don't you tell us what he's been working on? So have you seen these in the flesh?
I have not. I hear that they're going to make it to a tabletop this coming up Saturday. But, you know, he paints. He is a prolific painter. I think you were asking for 1 point. Would you say that's more than 1 point?
That's more than 1 point. So he says he assembled 11 points of Iberians the week after Christmas. Out of those 11, I finished 8, and he selected his 3 points of hard guard to submit. So he also posted pictures of this army in a different, I think in the Age of Hannibal section. So yeah, that's awesome. Phenomenal job on these guys. And he's an animal.
Yeah. Yeah, and with their guerrilla work, they're going to wreck someone's day, I'm thinking.
Is it going to be your day, Monty?
And not mine.
My
It'll
day?
be someone else.
I'm going to need a little luck.
Yes.
Against Scott. I always do get a little luck, but since I just said that out loud, unfortunately, I've jinxed myself. Yeah, I may have cursed myself.
Yeah, those look good. That's nice.
Very good. Next up, the ABG. I like these guys.
Yeah, Perry's, they look very nice. Like the color theme.
Oh, Perry's, pill bases. Yeah, the colors. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, you would expect, you know, if I was in Morocco, deep, you know, and 8 of these guys came galloping over a dune. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Nice use of the white, blue, gray, red on the banner. Yeah. I like these. What do you think of the whites here, Monty?
I like it. I'm thinking it might be, it's a little hard to tell, right? Sometimes with photography, it might be, there's a chance that might be the contrast paint is your gray wash and the folds. Maybe, which is a nice trick. Nice way to get you some shading on white.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see these in person. Because with white too, and like the grays and stuff, you know, photos can get washed out. You know, cameras don't like white.
No,
you know, so you could take like 20 photos with different settings, and like none of them look the way that you look with your eye. You know,
right?
So, but they look good in the photos, and they look like in person they might have a little more shading on them than what the camera picked up. But I like the horses too. Very cool.
Very well done.
And I think lastly, certainly not least, Brent. I can see the photo here. This has to be our Brent, Minnesota Brent.
It is.
Although I shouldn't presume. There's a lot of old guys that play Saga. And there's probably some of them were named Brent. But so he did some Iberians. So Age of Hannibal.
Crusader miniatures, sorry.
Crusader miniatures. Oh,
I like Crusader miniatures.
Yeah, the shields are cool. It looks like he painted those by hand.
Yep. All
those are great.
Painted.
Yeah, those are really cool designs.
Yeah.
Those are really cool. Yeah, that's great.
That's a little bit of work there. Nicely done.
So that is our 9 entries.
That's it.
We were supposed to have a powwow before we started.
We did not
decide what we were going to choose beforehand. So we're just going to do it live here, show them how the sausage is made, I guess.
Right.
So you kind of had your top 3. And so I had ABG. I had the chariots from Robin.
Right.
Because I know a ton of work went into those.
Right.
And I just like how these, I think, did he say these were Moors? Yeah, pointed more Moors. I just like how the more cavalry look. I think they're an example of just kind of a simple scheme, well executed, and they look good. And then obviously Mr. Teasdale is in there as well. So I don't know. What are you thinking here, Mike? What was your top three again?
Teasdale, Grubba's Warlord. I just really liked the horse. I know it was one figure. And then I thought you were saying there was an extra point for Age of Hannibal. I was really on a knife's edge, and I wrote it to you between Scott's, I know it's 1 point, but still a massive effort, and the Chariot, which is gorgeous too. So that was my winnowing, but not quite winnowing enough.
Yeah, so I agree. I think between those, I mean, Teasdale is great. The Chariots are great. They're a lot of work. We said Hannibal was kind of a tiebreaker. But I don't know, Monty. Since Teasdale, he did a full 12 levy.
Yeah, he did.
I think I'm kind of leaning. I'm leaning that way. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, this, like you said, your first look at this, both the photography, the basing. I mean, seriously, I know how small those eyes are. They are unbelievably small. And on top of everything else, it does look like it's straight off the website, your top production. So
yeah, if I have to go to the website to just double check that there weren't a Hannibal ruse submitting studio models.
I love it.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Yes.
If he had just done another 4 Hearthguard or just 8 Warriors, maybe I would have been inclined to give it to the Chariots, but I think it's well earned, well deserved. Mr. Teasdale, he's got our favorite unit in the winter 2021 Saga Thursday paint contest, sponsored by Gripping Bees. Saying it for the first time this episode, I apologize to Gripping Bees, but they're very generous. I know they're going through some trying times in the UK now, just with international shipping on top of the Brexit and COVID, everything else. But Andy stepped up without a pause to sponsor the contest. So thanks to those guys once again. So Mr. Teasdale is going to get a juicy little nugget, either a point, some Saga troops. I think they just sent him plastic last time, I believe. He got a Dark Age Warriors box out of it. So that's huge. That's very generous. We're going to do a random pick right now. So there's 8 other people. Monty, do you happen to have an 8-sided die?
I do.
Reach?
It will take just 1 second. Always keep your dice close by. I've got a die, and I will now see. It says 5.
5. So starting at the top, Herkus is 1. We take out Teasdale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Robin. 10427. So the Chariots.
Yeah.
So
snuck in there.
Just lost out for favor, but picked it up in the random area. So awesome. Yeah, he takes it home. Anyways, so thank you to everybody who submitted for going on to the Saga Discord, and hopefully these guys have already posted pics of the rest of the armies and models. So please, if you've paste I can't speak at this point. It's going too long here, Monty. If you posted pics of your models for the paint contest, I would encourage you to go on and post the rest of the pics of your army in the different sections that we have here. And it's starting to hop now.
Yes.
There's quite a few folks. I don't really know how to tell how many people are on this thing, but I've been scrolling on my mouse for quite some time now. So there's a large number of people signed up, and a lot of folks are active, including Monty. We've got Herkus, Monty, Hard D, some of the Discord staples, keeping an eye on things for us. So thank you for Monty for running the stream. I know you've posted several things showing people how to use the simulator. So you're a real community champion here, trying to get everybody involved and keep everybody active during these hard times. So
bingo.
I will thank you once again, good sir. And
thanks.
Well, this was quite an episode, my friend.
Another one.
We've come
Epic
to an end.
Saga.
Yes. Thank you to everybody who submitted, commented, liked, and subscribed, and all that. I'm pretty jazzed about Saga right now. Monty, are you pretty jazzed about Saga?
Very, dude. If it wasn't so late, I would get painting.
Wow, that is jazz. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty jazzed, and hopefully this has got everybody else jazzed and looking forward to hopefully some face-to-face games in 2021 here. We'll just keep on keeping on. Thanks, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Saga!